Congratulations, you've just found the number one over 50 health and wellness podcast on the planet. Hello, and welcome to the Over 50 Health and Wellness Show. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm a healthy aging expert and the founder of The Silver Edge, and I am on a mission to help men and women just like you build lean, strong, healthy, capable, amazing bodies they love for the rest of their lives. Okay, folks, buckle up. Here we go. Today, we're going to talk about something that almost everyone over 50 struggles with, and that is this. How do you lose fat without starving yourself, without feeling miserable, and without just trashing your metabolism in the process? Because here's the deal. Most diets don't fail in the first month. They fail in the months after, when your body rebounds harder than a bad relationship. Fast weight loss? That's easy. Sustainable weight loss? That's the real challenge here, right? And if you're over 50, your body simply does not tolerate any longer things like crash diets or starvation diets or endless cardio or extreme restriction. Your metabolism has some different needs now, right? It's playing by a different set of rules. And if you don't respect that, it will fight you every step of the way. So what we want to do then is structure our strategic fat loss muscle building plan in such a way that we work with our current metabolism, not against it. So today we're going to talk about how to lose fat the right way after 50, so you can eat real food, so you can have real energy, so you can build real strength, and so you can see real lasting change. And notice here, I am very intentionally saying lose fat, not lose weight. Here in the Silver Edge, for those of us over 50, losing weight's a terrible idea. So those of you who are out there that are just pounding the pavement with your cardio and you're eating less and less food and subsisting on salads like a rabbit, that's not healthy. You probably got away with that when you were in your 20s or 30s, but not so much now, right? All you're doing with that regimen is just trashing your metabolism, which makes any future diet attempts that much more difficult. And it's also setting you up for, a lot of us don't think about this, but I want to set myself up today. So I'm 61, but I want to set myself up so as I go into my 70s and my 80s, and if I'm blessed enough to be in my 90s, I want to set myself up as a strong, healthy individual that can still do stuff. I want to be able to play with my grandkids and my great-grandkids, perhaps. So that's what I'm talking about when we talk about fat loss here as opposed to weight loss. We want to take weight loss out of our vocabulary. You don't want to lose weight. That's a way to become frail, sarcopenic, osteoporosis, all of that stuff. That's not what we want, right? Most of us want to be lean and strong and healthy and sexy. The way to get there isn't crash dieting and cardio. And before we get started today, just as a reminder, I want to let you guys know enrollment for the Silver Edge Collective opens on December 27th. Now, just to be clear, the opening on December 27th is only for the people on our priority wait list. We'll open it to the public the day after, but we are officially opening the Silver Edge Collective registration on December 27th for the people on our priority wait list. So if you want to lose fat in 2026, not lose weight, lose fat without creating another metabolic disaster, join the priority list. I'll put a link in the show notes. You guys can also find that on the website. All right, enough of that. Let's jump into it here. So let's start here. Let's talk about why starvation diets or extreme dieting just kills and crushes your metabolism. So here's what most folks get wrong. Undereating is not the solution, it's the problem. And here's why. When you starve yourself, you're going to lose muscle, your metabolism is going to slow down, your hunger is going to skyrocket, your stress is going to increase, your sleep will get worse, cravings will become unmanageable, and weight regain becomes absolutely 100% inevitable. Your body views aggressive dieting as a threat. It does not care that you want to lose 20 pounds before beach season next year. It cares about survival. So when you slash calories too far for too long, your body's going to respond with, oh, another famine? Cool. Let's slow everything down and just store and cling to fat as much as possible. Your body's not trying to ruin your summer vacation. It really isn't. It's trying to keep you alive long enough to actually get to the beach, right? So your metabolism has evolved to keep you alive. And every time you go on a diet, especially a crash diet, it just perceives food scarcity. It doesn't perceive you trying to drop 20 pounds before your beach vacation. It perceives an emergency, and that makes it want to cling to those precious fat stores. The very thing that's the exact opposite of what you're trying to do with that crash diet. But here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Fast weight loss destroys the very machinery you need for permanent weight loss. I say it all the time. You can either lose weight quickly or you can lose it permanently. Really, really hard. I would argue it's impossible to do in our age bracket. Every pound of muscle lost makes fat loss harder and weight regain faster, which is why so many people feel like they lose weight slower than they used to. Yeah, because that's true. They regain it faster. Yeah, no kidding. And they need to diet more aggressively each time. That's the danger zone, guys. That's not aging. That's not because you're getting old. That's metabolic adaptation. That's your metabolism doing exactly what it was designed to do. And the solution is not to eat even less, especially for those of you that are chronic undereaters or yo-yo dieters. And I'll throw this out. I know I say this also all the time, so I sound like a broken record. Anybody who tells you to eat less food without knowing how much food exactly you are eating right now, just run, turn around and run. That's a huge red flag. How can I tell you to eat less food if I don't know if you're eating enough food to support your metabolism where it is right now? So imagine a guy that's eating, 1,500 calories and he's got last 20 pounds to lose and just can't do it. Should that dude eat less food? Hell no. That's a recipe for absolute metabolic disaster and sarcopenia and osteopenia. And that dude's going to be a frail old grandpa. He's going to fall down, break a hip, and the end is going to come. His family's going to be gathered around him crying. That is not the end we want here, guys. That's the exact opposite of what we want. And that's so often, though, where these chronic undereating yo-yo diets disasters lead us. So the solution for a lot of us, now look, I get it. Are there people that need to eat less food? Clearly, yes, there are. But I suspect that's not you listening. So the solution is not necessarily to eat less and less food. It's to support your metabolism, wherever it is right now, but definitely not to punish it. So I'm sure all of you out there have heard the generic advice of eat less, move more. I certainly have. My doctor actually told me that at one point in my life. But that's actually terrible advice for a lot of us over 50. So let's just dismantle why this is not great advice for those of us over 50. Eat less, move more. This is what I call half-truth science. It sounds logical until you actually live in a real, actual human body with a real, actual metabolism. Here's what happens when people over 50 try to move more. They typically do tons of cardio. They get exhausted. Which makes them hungrier. Their joints hurt, or Lord forbid, they go and get injured. They start to lose muscle, that type 2 muscle that is so metabolically expensive. Their metabolism slows down and the scale barely moves, if at all. Maybe it even starts to move in the wrong direction. And here's what happens when they eat less. Their hunger goes up, their energy goes down, their stress increases, inflammation increases, sleep worsens, muscles just disappear, and fat loss stalls. It stalls hard. And this creates what I call the misery loop. We get hunger that leads to fatigue, that leads to cravings, that leads to guilt, that leads to binging, and then we're going to repeat that cycle. Most people aren't overweight because they lack willpower. Are some of them? Of course, yeah. Probably not you listening to this. Most people are overweight because they're using strategies that are designed to fail. But if this advice of move more, eat less worked across the board, we wouldn't be, 70% of us wouldn't be overweight and obese in the United States here. So again, the problem here isn't so much with move more and eat less, because that sounds like good advice, right? Oh, I should move more. I should eat less. And of course, we're not going to get around the law of thermodynamics. If you are currently under eating and you eat less food, you will probably lose some weight. You're not going to lose fat. You're going to lose muscle. Your body's going to really slow down and shut down. So it's not that it's quote unquote wrong. It's just bad advice because it doesn't take into account our metabolic situation individually where each one of us is right now. So to give you an example, I'm 61. I'm 6'2". Right now I'm weighing in about 187, which is kind of light for me on the lean side. My daily calories for me to not lose any weight and not gain any weight is 3,200 calories. I eat 3,200 calories every single day just to maintain this weight. So if I wanted to diet, I would have to eat less calories. Maybe I would eat, eat 2,600 calories, something like that to go on a diet. And if I wanted to gain weight, I'd bump up a couple hundred calories. So compare that to the guy who's eating 1,800 calories a day. I get plenty of my guy clients coming in, and under the hood, we ask them to weigh, measure, and track all their food. And lo and behold, they're averaging like 1,800 calories a week. And they're not small guys. They're normal sized men. That ain't enough food, right? So that person, while he could eat less food and quote unquote lose weight, he ain't losing fat. Let me tell you that. He is just digging a metabolic hole deeper and deeper and deeper. What he needs to do is work on restoring his metabolism by getting strong and not doing crazy restrictive diets and tons of cardio. That just ain't going to work. All right, so let's talk about how to lose fat without starving yourself. Let's talk about how we do this correctly. Let's dive into the simple, sustainable approach that works, especially for those of us, again, in our age demographic. Number one is you got to eat the appropriate amount of food. Your metabolism runs on energy. You can't expect it to speed up while you're feeding it like a hostage. You need enough food to support your hormones, your recovery, your muscle building, your cognitive function, all of that. Starving yourself is not a fat loss strategy. It is a muscle loss strategy. Number two, you got to prioritize protein. Protein is the number one most under-eaten nutrient for people over 50. You're going to aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight every single day. So think about that. Let's say you're a 150-pound woman, but you wish you weighed 150 pounds. So 150 grams of protein a day is a lot of protein. Now break that into 3 meals. Right? That's 50 grams of protein per meal. That's a lot. Now, is there magic in that number? No, not really. Science typically will show again and again for our age demographic, in order to build lean muscle mass, we need to be eating between 0.7 and 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. So that 0.7 to 1 is the ideal ratio. And for you, you're probably your sweet spot somewhere in there. We like to just pick 1 gram per pound because it's really easy to remember and it gives you guys a target to get to. Okay, so when we talk about protein, of course, in our body is broken down into amino acids, so it's critical for building muscle, but it also controls hunger. So when we eat more protein, we're naturally less hungry. And I think most of us intuitively can understand that, right? If I eat a big bowl of pasta, I'm hungry an hour later. If I eat a giant steak, I'm not hungry an hour later. Protein also stabilizes blood sugar. It's going to improve your recovery. It's going to help increase your metabolism. So it really is the closest thing that we have to dietary magic. Number 3, you want to build strength, not fatigue. So strength training is the single fastest way to burn fat, gain muscle, improve your metabolism. When I say improve your metabolism, I mean to optimize it, to speed it up, to improve your mobility, to reduce any aches and pains, and to increase your confidence. So that's what we're looking for here. Number 4, when the time is appropriate, meaning when your metabolism is fully restored and roaring like a bonfire, you want to use a gentle calorie deficit, a strategic gentle calorie deficit. Not 800 calories, not 1,000 calories, not I drink shakes until I'm lightheaded and cranky. None of that. A gentle deficit is sustainable, it's muscle protective, and it's metabolism friendly. So slow fat loss is real fat loss. And look, don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger. That's bad news for a lot of you, but it is true. And as soon as you accept that, everything changes. When you trade rapid fat loss for sustainable fat loss, that's really the magic. A, it's easier and more pleasant, and B, it's wonderful because it is sustainable. So fast fat loss is a biological panic response. Don't do that. Number 5 is you got to support recovery. After 50, recovery is your training. So when I talk about recovery, I'm talking about things like sleep and stress management and rest days. They matter more now than ever. If you're always tired or sore or depleted or beat up, that's not dedication. That's inflammation, my friends. And you can't lose fat when your body is completely stressed out. I know I use this analogy all the time, but I'm going to use it here. When you are constantly stressed out and you're sleeping poorly, that's a lot like tying a 10-pound weight around your neck and then going out into the ocean and trying to swim a mile. You're probably not going to make it. You're probably going to drown. But on the other hand, when you get those things dialed in, that swim becomes much more doable, much more likely for you to complete it successfully. So let's switch some gears here. Let's talk about how to lose fat without wrecking your metabolism. How do we create this set of habits? How do we weave these healthy habits into our everyday, real, actual, busy, crazy, hectic lives that not only supports our metabolism, but actually gets us to our desired body composition goals. So think of your metabolism like a fire. Crash dieting dumps a bucket of water on it. Cardio throws a handful of twigs into it, but strength training is going to add logs to it. Protein is like oxygen. Recovery is like airflow, and consistency is going to keep that fire burning. And get this, you don't need to eat perfectly. You don't need to follow a military style plan. You don't need to cut out entire food groups. You don't need to live on chicken breast and broccoli. And you don't need to spend hours in the gym every day. You just need to support your body with the right principles. Eat the appropriate amount of food. For some of you, that's more than you're eating right now. For some of you, maybe it's the same amount. For some of you, yeah, maybe it's less. You need to lift some weights. You need to recover well. And then you just need to repeat that. That's the formula. That worked at 25, it worked at 35, and it works beautifully at 55 and 65. So I want to talk about one of my long-term clients. She's still with me. I've had her for years. Absolutely love her. And she is such a badass. I didn't ask her if I could give her a shout out. So I'm not going to say her name, but she was, I guess she's close to my age. So late 50s. And when she came to me, she was really under eating. Like 1,100 calories a day, maybe. I think her main exercise at the time was yoga, and she did a lot of golfing and walking. But she was not overweight, but she was frail. I think she may have described herself as having grandma bod, right? So she was just storing fat in places that she didn't want to store fat. But to be clear, she didn't have 30, 40, 50 pounds to lose, right? But she said, look, I'm doing everything right. Why is nothing working? And the answer was she was starving herself. She was very sarcopenic. She was stressing out her body, and she was driving her metabolism into the floor. So in other words, her metabolism was not a raging bonfire, but it was just a little tiny tinder spark. So what we had her do was actually eat some more. We had her lift some weights. She had never been a weightlifter before that. We had her prioritize protein. And actually, she was doing a decent job of eating protein, but we definitely had some room for improvement there. We made sure that she got her recovery dialed in. And I think she was doing some kind of a cardio class or something. We asked her just to stop that. So really, we started on a reverse diet, which, if you don't know what that means, is just eat a little bit more food each week. So we bump her up, say, 100 calories in week 1, and then she's going to bump up another additional 100 daily calories in week 2, et cetera, et cetera. So we're slowly reverse dieting her. We're introducing her to barbell movements, to strength training. So we're doing that very slowly and very strategically, very cautiously, because she's not lifted before. And her entire body changed. Her entire life changed. In fact, she lost fat. She gained muscle. She was sleeping better. She felt confident for the first time in years. And guess what? Her metabolism didn't get slower with age. It got stronger because she finally supported it. Now, let me share with you where she is today. And this is probably, I should have looked this up before I hit record here. She's probably been with me 3 or 4 years now. It's been past 3 years. But here's where she is today. I think I still talk to her weekly. I think she told me she's eating around 2,900 calories every single day. Ladies, this is a normal size woman, right? I don't know her height. She's about 130-ish pounds, and she's trying to get stronger. So she's trying to eat in a calorie surplus. Yeah, ladies, she's trying to eat more, and she looks freaking fabulous. She is strong. She can rep out pull-ups, she squats, and she deadlifts, and just all around a badass. So she has completely transformed not just her body, which was a very dramatic transformation, but she has transformed her entire life. So there you go. There's what can happen when you trade quick results and crash diets for this slower strategic roadmap of working towards rebuilding your metabolism before you ever start to worry about any kind of a diet, before you even start any kind of a diet conversation, but really working towards building strength, building metabolism, getting healthy enough to diet. And yes, we did some diet cuts with her today. She tells me when she's going to go into a cut cycle or into a reverse diet cycle, because she's sophisticated enough now to absolutely program on her own. But that was the trade-off, right? She spent maybe a year before really she was really happy with her body. And then at that point, her mindset changed completely. She was like, I just want to get strong. I love being strong and capable. I want to be a strong grandma. And so she's out there absolutely crushing it. All right, so if you're out there, you're listening, you're thinking, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing wrong. I don't want to starve myself or go through another miserable January. And yes, I do want results that actually last for years and not for a few months. Then I want to invite you to join the Silver Edge Collective. The Collective is our flagship coaching program. It's built specifically for people over 50 who want to do everything we've been talking about here, right? They want to lose fat, build muscle, support your hormone health, build a strong, raging bonfire of a metabolism, and finally break free of the cycle of yo-yo dieting. So inside the collective, you're going to get personalized nutrition coaching from me and as well as my other coaches. You're going to have strength training programs that work for your body. Yes, we have programs for everybody from complete beginners to complete badasses. You're going to get weekly live support, coaching support. You're going to have accountability and a wonderful community of people who are all on the same path, right? So early enrollment opens December 27th. This is only for the people that are on our priority wait list. We want to keep this cohort limited in numbers so that we can actually coach each and every member. So if you want first access, we got some really cool launch bonuses that again are only for the first 50 people that are actually on the wait list. We got about 50 people on that wait list already. If you want a guaranteed spot, join the priority waitlist now. The link is in the show notes, or of course you guys can find that on our website. So let's wrap this up. You do not need to starve yourself to lose weight. In fact, you should not starve yourself to lose weight. You don't need to live in the gym. You don't need to suffer. You just need a plan that respects your biology and a strategy that's designed for the body that you have today, not the body that you had when you were 25 years old. So fat loss after 50 is absolutely possible. Building muscle and strength after 50 is absolutely possible. And you can do it without trashing your metabolism or losing your sanity. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. So make sure you go over and join the priority list. And until next time, stay strong. Okay, that's our show for today, folks. If you are interested in learning how the Silver Edge Collective program can help you feel amazing and lean and strong and confident again, you can find a link to learn more in the show notes for this episode. You guys can find that on whatever app you're listening to this on, or head over to silveredgefitness.com/396. As we wrap up our time together today, you can show your support for this show in two important ways. The first is to tell a friend about this podcast and encourage them to give it a listen. The second is for you YouTube folks to click the like and subscribe buttons, and you podcast folks to give this podcast a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, and be sure to subscribe and follow so you don't miss any future episodes. I really appreciate you spending your time with me today, and until next time, stay strong.